a day of celebration.
Yes.
You know me, every day is a day of celebration. Celebrating every day, yes. Today I celebrate a new beginning as I begin a new year as the spiritual director for Unity Center of the Desert. So thank you for joining me to celebrate this. A few weeks ago, we had our first ever board retreat, and it was an all-day retreat at my home, and so board members and interested congregants gathered together, and I presented the question, where do you see Unity Center of the Desert in the year 2020? Sounds like a far-off date, doesn't it? It's like a science fiction movie, start date 2020. It's only five years away. And I shared with them some research I had done about Yuma County. You might not be aware of this, but Yuma County has experienced a 22.3% growth rate every year for the last 10 years. Can you believe that? That means that every year 4,370 people have moved to our neck of the woods. Every day, 12 people become members of our community, and they've been doing this for 10 years. Wow. So I was thrilled and kind of relieved to find out that Yuma County has what they call the 2020 Comprehensive Plan, and I found inspiration in that. Interesting where you find inspiration, but it says, given the trends and changes that are occurring in the county, maintaining or enhancing the quality of life will require three things: considerable foresight, ongoing cooperative efforts, and broad-based planning. And on later in the plan it says, the results of the decisions that the community makes or fails to make will be with us for generations to come. Don't we know that? That happens in our personal life, that our decisions stay with us like that. So anyway, we considered these three things and how we might apply them to Unity Center of the Desert. A healthy church grows at a rate of 5% per year. Last year, Unity Center of the Desert saw a growth rate of 15%. Another reason to celebrate. So we considered what we could implement in order to sustain this growth and to support you in your spiritual growth, because that's why Unity Center of the Desert exists, is to support you in your spiritual growth. And one thing that's very important and beneficial to our spiritual center and to the Unity movement is prayer. No one believes more in prayer than Unity does. And so we've implemented a prayer ministry that came out of this board meeting, actually, to help support you in your spiritual growth. So know that we're there with you. And another thing that was brought up by our board president, Nancy Clevenger, was how important and beneficial it is to have ongoing classes. So I met a few weeks ago with our licensed Unity teacher in training, Carol Ann Miner, and we started on a plan to make sure that every quarter we have at least one class going on. And we've firmed up the schedule through about September so far, but we're working on that. So that's another thing to celebrate. But whether it's the growth of a town or the growth of a church, we can relate to those things on a personal level. We can apply those things on a personal level. We ask, what is my vision for 2020? Where do I want to be in 5 years? Where do I want to be in 5 months? Where do I want to be in 5 weeks? What are my goals? What is my legacy? Don't you love that word, legacy? Love that word. So maybe you have a goal of finishing a painting or remodeling your man cave or something like that. Or maybe you've come to realize that something that would really be beneficial to the balance in your life would be to study spiritual things more deeply. Or maybe you're finding that what you really need to do is train your brain and reel in this renegade way of thinking that's not working for your highest good. Whatever it is, bringing that vision into manifestation engages all aspects of our body temple. Realizing your goals or your dreams or your desires might mean implementing the many magnificent abilities of your mind, like considerable foresight, our ability to envision, or some broad-based planning. So we ask ourselves, what do I need to do in order to bring this vision into manifestation? Maybe your vision is to finish a painting. And so in your quiet time, you ask, what must I do to bring this into manifestation? And in the asking, Spirit rushes in and it just comes to you, wow, I could finish a painting every month. And at the end of the year, I'll have 12 paintings, and I could do an art exhibit at Unity Center of the Desert, and we'll have a wonderful little reception for you. Wouldn't that be great? Or maybe your goal is something to do with the health of the body, or to be pain-free. So you ask, what must I do to bring this into fulfillment? And Spirit begins to work in your life, and you see an advertisement for a yoga class, or you join a health club and begin to swim 3 times a week or something. So, but many people go through life in kind of an uncharted, uncoordinated, unplanned way, just kind of without any goals or vision. And you know, the Proverbs say, without vision the people perish. They just have kind of one foot in front of the other. I call it flying by the seat of their pants. And whether it's in the area of money, you know, living paycheck to paycheck, or in the area of relationships, not really tending to the garden of love in your life, or even in vacation planning. I mean, it's funny, but these hot summer days just tend to sneak up on us, don't they? It's like we're unaware that it's going to be triple digits pretty soon, and we think, wow, how did this happen? So what do we do to get out of the hot weather? Well, let's see about, let's count our nickels here, and looks like we got enough to go to San Diego for the afternoon and dip our toes in the ocean. But what about engaging those wonderful powers of the mind, and maybe a little bit of foresight, even a few months out, maybe say some broad-based planning, and save $5 a week, $10 a week, $100 a week. And then when it starts to simmer and sizzle around here, you say, wow, look at all this money we got. We could go to BC. We could take a cruise to Alaska. We could drive up the coast of California up to Mendocino and spend a few days. Wouldn't that be fun? So that's how we use the miraculous powers of our mind, many, many aspects of our mind, to support our growth and our expansion and our experience and our enjoyment in life. So in your quiet time, ask, what is my vision? And as you become clear in that, then ask, beginning today, what can I do to bring this into manifestation? And listen to that inner guidance system, and Spirit will begin to move through you, as you, in many, many miraculous ways. An emotion might well up from within you. You might get a feeling about someone or something. You might have a creative idea that just pops in your mind, seemingly from out of nowhere. Or maybe you have a new thought that you'd never even considered before. Or maybe your social calendar opens up and somebody cancels out for some weird reason, or somebody shows up. These are all the miraculous movement of Spirit in your life, moving in and through and as you, said in an ancient way, to direct your steps. The Proverbs say, the mind of man plans his way, but the Lord directs his steps. As a child, I was taught that this was referring to two totally separate, distinct things. The mind of man, the mind of God. You might be familiar with that old Yiddish saying, man plans, God laughs. That has actually no meaning to us. That has no power or control over us, because we know, as science and religion are beginning to understand, that there is only one mind. There is no distinction. There is no separation. God is not one person or thing, and you're a totally separate person or thing. No, you are one in essence and in fact. You are the essence of God. And as the Master Teacher Jesus said, I and the Father are one. There's not two minds. There's only one mind, God. And it's the understanding of this complete unity of God and man that enabled Jesus to become the Christ and to live an amazing and miraculous life. So the proverb says the mind of God, the mind of man plans. Actually, in Hebrew it says the heart of Adam, or Adam, which means mankind. The heart of mankind plans, but the Lord directs his steps. We know metaphysically that Lord refers to the activity of the spiritual I am, our divine consciousness, the creative power within. So what this says to us is that ideas come from the great mind and operate or express through the human mind. Our power comes from an infinite self-knowing God. The creative power within us is the self-realization of spirit seeking a new outlet of expression through you. And as we stay close to our core, to this creative power within us, the essence of who we are, every step is energized by spirit. Every vision is colorized by the Creator. Every idea is energized by the infinite power of the universe. Myrtle Fillmore, one of the founders of the Unity Movement, also taught that God is within us. She said, sometimes we pray to a God outside ourselves. It is the God in the midst of us that frees us and heals us. You need to think of God, the all-powerful healer, as being already within you, in every part of your mind, heart, and body. So what we're talking about this morning is your vision, your goals, your desires, your legacy that comes from the mind of God, and your ability to bring it into manifestation. I find a lot of inspiration from Barbara Marx Hubbard. And you might be familiar with her. She's an author and a speaker, but most of all, she's defined as a futurist. And she talks about a time in 1966, when she was 35 years old, that she had what she calls an experience in cosmic consciousness. And she had just been thinking about how the Apostle Paul had said how we are members all of one body. And as she was thinking about that, all of a sudden, a question welled up within her that demanded an answer. Spirit was knocking at the door, asking this question: what is the story that would have just as great an effect on human history as the story of the life of Jesus? And in the asking, She was instantly transported into the utter darkness of outer space. And she describes this in really vivid detail, but she talks about it as she went through the cocoon of Earth, and she saw how everything was connected. All of our social systems, all of history was connected and interrelated. And then she heard a voice within that said, what Christ and all the great avatars came to tell us is we are one. We are whole. We are born as universal beings. And then the voice said, go and tell this truth, Barbara. So now, at age 85, she continues to write and teach and tell the truth that we are one, and to tell the truth about our own human potentiality. There's an ageless vision that wants to express through you. There's a question that's knocking on the door of your mind that's demanding an answer. There's something that wants to be imprinted on our planet, right here, right now, through you. So your challenge this morning is to open up to the endless possibilities in your life, and to broaden your vision of yourself and your abilities, and to bring that vision into manifestation. So, are you ready to bring your vision into manifestation this morning? I hope you are, and I bless and love each one of you. Namaste. So we're going to go into a meditation.